Okay, right, let's get into it. Actually, I'm probably just gonna watch other people for now. Right, they're on sauce. Yeah, I might as well just qualify on the sauce.
Perhaps we should get out there and get a few laps in.
Might as well qualify on the sauce since it's gonna be a wet race. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll go out now.
Checks complete. We're ready.
Hey everybody, my name is Anthony, and in today's video we're going to be doing another league racing video. I know it's been quite a while actually since I've done a league racing video, and today we're going to be doing a new league that I've joined, which is LCR. It's going to be the LCR European Championship and not the LCR World Championship, because that's for the drivers who are, you know, a lot quicker than I am per se. And today is going to be at Monza. Now I'm pretty sure the championship has already been going on for a while now. I think this is actually halfway through the season, whereas me, I'm obviously just joining in. So there was a few guys that, you know, joined along with me, so I'm not sure if maybe people ended up leaving or what happened beforehand, but this championship's been going on for a good couple of weeks now, and this is me just joining in. So coming into our first flying lap, I was pretty confident in my pace, in my one lap pace here around Monza. However, this race was a wet race and a dry quali, which means I had to put my wet setup on and then do a dry quali. So I wasn't used to having a lot more drag on the car, because obviously Monza is a tempo of speed, so obviously, you know, you want to have the least amount of downforce possible. And some of the other guys I actually found out after the race were using dry setups as well for quali and race. So I wasn't really used to having so much drag, because I did admittedly put a bit too much drag on the car, and I think I put quite a bit of ride height and suspension on the car as well when it comes to the wet setup, obviously, because, you know, it's a lot different when you're driving in the wet to when you're driving in the dry. And it meant that I was going to be a lot slower than usual. My PB around Monza is an 18.9, and usually when I was doing just practice in general, usually my qualifying times would be mid to low 19s. So yeah, and that's with I think I had a 1.3 wing setup going. So, you know, with this setup that I had here, you know, there was a lot more downforce on the car, meaning that I was creating a lot more drag. And as I come into the start finish line for the first flying lap, you'll see I think it was a 20.7. now there was a few mistakes done in this one, so definitely could have improved, and we did improving. So this is actually going to be the fastest lap of the qualifying for me, so I'm gonna stay quiet and let you guys see what a lap of Monza really looks like. So yeah, as we head down to Parabolica, I'm pretty sure this corner's called, correct me if I'm wrong. I know I said that this is a lap of Monza, of what it really looks like, but obviously, as you can see, there was a lot of times when I felt, you know, I was a bit too casual in terms of the lap. You know, I wasn't really, you know, just throwing the car around. And I think we ended up improving to a 20.4, and we was improving by, you know, 3 to 4 tenths, I want to believe, in the next lap even, but I ended up losing all that time in the chicane there that we just passed. I'm not really sure what those corners are called, but after that, pretty much ended up retiring because I wouldn't have had enough time to go around the track again. So the qualifying position is 9th for me and 12th place for my teammate. So at that point, really I was thinking, you know, it's a wet race. I'm not used to, you know, driving in wet. In fact, this is actually my first league race in general in wet conditions. So I definitely thought to myself, you know, I don't really want to spin out, so I'm just going to try and take it literally as easy as possible. And coming into this race, obviously I wasn't expecting it to be in wet conditions, but I've literally only did 3 laps of wet condition practice for this race. So yeah, I definitely want to take things very, very easy as we finish our formation lap here. And we'll just get ready to get started. You know, 9th place, for some reason we ended up in 8th place in terms of the grid position. I think someone ended up leaving, but you know, 5 lights and away we go. And I was warned about, you know, turn 1 of Monza being quite hectic, so in wet conditions I was really not wanting to damage any part of my car. So as you can see, I broke way too early there, but it means I didn't damage my wing, and we had a little bit of a contact there with the racing point. And literally as I said before, at this point in the race, you will see by my driving, as the racing point actually goes off. I don't know what happened to him, but you know, it's just no real confidence, because I didn't really know what it was like driving in the wet when it came to, you know, league racing. I didn't know what people were like and stuff like that, and you know, it's the first time driving with these guys, so I don't necessarily know their skill level compared to mine. So yeah, pretty much just being very cautious coming into it, and not really much else to say in that regards. But you may see that I've actually underfueled the car. Now that's one thing I learned from TRL Limiters. When you're driving in wet conditions, you can underfuel the car, because obviously you're not using as much fuel, you're not using as much ERS, so you know, you can afford to sort of underfuel the car while still pushing quite a lot as well. So that's what I decided to do. And as you can see here, I think that's Leighton. Obviously I know his gamer tag's not Leighton, but I'm just saying his real life name. I'm sure he probably won't mind or care that I say that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Leighton. He started in P15 and he just shot up the grid very quickly. So my mindset at that point, as soon as he passed me, was I know that Leighton's a quicker driver than me. So I decided to, you know, try and stick with them, and I did pass the racing point, but I ended up making this little mistake here on lap 3, running wide, going onto the gravel, and as you can see, the racing point and the Alfa Romeo ended up passing me. So I knew at that point that I was quicker than them, so you know, as long as I can keep up with them, I was hoping to pass them on the start finish line straight. Obviously with wet conditions, you know, as pretty much if the person in front of you even gets a 5 out of 10 exit, you're probably not going to pass them unless, you know, they have a really bad exit, as the Alfa Romeo has a pretty bad exit here. And this little move here was, you know, the best move I've made so far in the game. And I'm not going to lie to you, that move was completely by accident. Now I know some of you may be thinking, well, it's just a standard move, but overtaking is not really something that I regularly do in league races, mainly because, you know, the league races I have been in, I was significantly slower than other people. So, you know, making that move, I was generally surprised, and it was completely a mistake, but it ended up being a really nice move, and we ended up keeping the position as well, because it did look at one point that the racing point was going to pass me, but he didn't. So moving on to lap 7 now, as you can see, I was generally quicker than the Alfa Romeo on the racing point, because we've pulled a huge gap onto them. And as you can see, the McLaren there actually spinning out. I think he took too much curb, I'm not sure what happened, and we end up getting on the back of La Lives. I don't know how to say his name, just La. And I did think that I was quicker than him at this point in the race. He did qualify quite high up, I think he qualified in P2, but I did think I was quicker than him at this point in the race. It's just I had no confidence in myself, and I really didn't want to push to what I thought was my max potential around here, just because, you know, I really just wanted to take it easy, being my first race in league racing in wet conditions. So you'll see that he ends up pulling quite a big gap on me, even though I felt I was quicker than him, because there was just no confidence whatsoever. So I think that's Astro setting the fastest lap here. He was pretty much quick the entire race. Him and another guy, whose name I'm not going to try and pronounce because I have no idea how to. They were pretty much, you know, the top 3 guys were definitely way too quick for me in this race. But I did think that, you know, the top 4 was definitely on the cards. As we go to lap 12 here, we're just about to pit. And the reason why I pitted now is because the other guys in front of me were starting to pit. So I didn't really want them to get a huge undercut on me. So, you know, I just decided to pit next lap. I wasn't really sure what lap I wanted to pit on really, because for some reason I really don't know. For some reason I just didn't know what lap to pit on. So coming into lap 13 now. Pretty much it was a decent pit stop, 2.5 seconds, you know, it's just regular for F1. And you can see now the guys are passing me, and it's a pretty significant undercut, to be fair. Even the Racing Point that I had passed ended up passing me. He hasn't pit yet, so, you know, I've got a full pit stop on him, so I wasn't really too worried about him necessarily. It was mostly just the amount of undercut that the guys in front of him managed to get on me. So at that point, on inters now, you know, the rain's starting to lighten up a little bit, so I thought, okay, it's time to actually try and show a little bit more confidence in my driving. So I knew that when it comes to wet conditions, you want to brake, you know, roughly about 20 to 40 meters before you would in dry, depending on how wet it is out there. And I knew that you want to shift down the gears a little bit more slowly. So what I was doing is I was just trying to push and see exactly what my limit was each and every lap as we go on to lap 18 now, and we got a 3-second time penalty. And at this point I actually think that was my second 3-second time penalty. So at this point we've got 6 seconds worth of time penalties, which I want to believe puts us, it doesn't put us right behind 6th place, it actually puts us right in front of 6th place at this point in the race. So that gave me even more of a reason to, you know, try and actually test my limits and see exactly what I can do around this track. Now I don't think this is my fastest lap of the race. I don't believe it was. I think the fastest lap of the race was lap 21 or something like that. So yeah, and you may notice now we're over halfway through the race and I've still got less fuel than optimal. We're still not in the green when it comes to the fuel. At this point I was starting to get a little bit worried because I have never really underfueled the car before. So, you know, I thought at this point, even whilst pushing in wet conditions, I should have been in the green, but I wasn't. So that's why you'll see that I start to do quite a bit of saving, and I could afford to do quite a bit of saving actually, because the guys behind me, not only did I feel that they were slower than me at this point in the race, but I'm pretty sure they had significant time penalties as well. I want to say 3 to 6 seconds at this point as well. So yeah, pretty much that's pretty much how the rest of the race went. It was just me trying to test my limits and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk over this lap, because this lap is the fastest lap of the race for me personally. So yeah, pretty much coming off of Parabolica. I don't know all the corners of this track, but I do know that that one's called Parabolica. You want to short shift up to 6th and then just try and get the best exit you can, because it is a very, very long straight. And coming up to the braking zone, now you want to brake just in between the black board and the 150 meter board. Shift down to 2nd and then shift down to 1st for that 2nd corner, and then you want to short shift as much as possible up to 4th or even potentially 5th gear, so that you don't get too much wheel spin and end up spinning around for this sort of long right hand corner. So coming into the 2nd chicane, you want to brake at the 150 meter board in wet conditions, just to, you know, get the car slowed down and short shift out of the corner once again, because we're in wet conditions, and brake at the 50 meter board for this right hander, and you want to brake just before the 50 meter board at this right hander as well. However, the 50 meter board and the 100 meter board were taken out halfway through the race, so obviously I had to try and guess what I was doing there. And coming down to, I think this corner's a Scari, you want to brake sort of like where that grey patch is, just after the railing. I did turn in a little bit too early there, so you can see that I did cut the corner, but you know, you can afford to brake a little bit later if that's your issue as well. And coming down to this last little long straight, coming to Parabolica, you want to brake just after the 100 meter board, and you want to short downshift to 4th gear just at the apex, and then shoot off to try and get a, you know, as much of a slingshot as you can. And that's pretty much the fastest lap for me, and I can't see it because of the Sony Vegas, but I want to say it's a 30.3 or something like that. I could be completely wrong because again I generally can't see. And yeah, pretty much that was it when it came to the race. It started to dry up a lot towards the end of the race. Obviously not enough laps in the race to really go on the dries. But yeah, so I'm gonna end up leaving it here actually. If you like the video, then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I want to post a lot more league racing videos. I'm only going to be live streaming one league race per week now instead of 2, which is going to be these LCR races. However, I'm still going to be recording the WRC ones, and I've actually got a WRC league race that we did recently at I want to say Austria. I think it's Austria was the last one. So I wanna upload that. And that was a pretty interesting race, to be fair. So I'm gonna get that edited as soon as possible and get that up as soon as possible. I'm also going to be doing my career mode video with Renault, and I still need to do my track guide from an average player for Monaco. So if you want to see those type of videos, then definitely hit the subscribe button because I want to get those out as soon as possible, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So I'll leave you guys off with the last part of the lap, and I'll see you guys in my next video.